Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Speak the Language podcast. Today is February 24th, 2020, and we are getting so close to turkey season finally being here, so we're keeping that ball rolling with more turkey episodes. But before we get into all that, I've got to tell you about something we have going on at Primos.com. That is the springtime bundles. It's where we take some of our products we think match together well, put them in one package, and then offer them to you right now for 20% off. Some of my favorites include like the Will Primos bundle. Comes with a drag strip slate call, the Tall Timber Gabriel box call, which is a great box call that Will designed himself, Power Crystal slate, a classic we've had around a while. Probably my other favorite would be the Bottomland bundle. Comes with the new Bottomland half face mask, the Foggy Bottom slate call with Frictionite surface, and the Bottomland mouth call with Ghost Cut. This is the first time we've ever offered a bundle package like this, and I'm very excited about it because it's really good stuff. And like I said, 20% off. So check it out right now at Primos.com. Today, we are with my friends Aaron Warbritton and Greg Clements of the Hunting Public, two of the best guys I know. They taught me a lot when I was getting started. We talk about that some in this episode actually, but they're also some of the best turkey hunters that I know, and they're some of the best, absolute best at consistently killing turkeys on public land. And that's what we talk about. We dive into some of their tactics, what they do to maximize their efficiency, to get themselves consistently in areas and in situations where they can kill turkeys consistently in public land. So this is a great episode to learn from. They're two good guys to listen to and just great all-around guys. I think you'll enjoy it. So please dive into this episode with an open mind, ready to learn. And lastly, if you want to do us a big favor, head on over to our page on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating if you would, and write us a review. It's much appreciated. Enjoy the show. Is it recording? Yes, it is. All right, so Speak the Language podcast. First, I'm going to say, if y'all are, there's a lot of background noise that everyone's not used to. It's because we're at the 2020 NWTF convention, and I'm here with, I've had Aaron from the Hunting Public on before, but I've never had Greg on before.
First time.
But what's cool about this is, I don't know, several times on this podcast, I've talked about my days at Midwest Whitetail, and I've referenced both you and Aaron. Y'all were like my mentors.
It was many days ago, like many days.
It's nostalgic for me right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is.
For sure.
Yeah.
Anytime we meet somebody that has come through the internship program, there's fond memories to talk about. Here we go.
There it goes. Every time.
Well, I don't know where they're at.
I'm telling you, it happens every time. We're just going to have to pause it.
You're going to have to cut around this?
I guess. Or just leave it in there. I don't know. What do you do?
2020 NWTF Sports Show will open in.
Well, hey,
in 3 minutes.
The show's going to open in 3 minutes.
So in 3 minutes, we'll get another announcement that the show is open.
The show is now open.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so a couple of reasons I wanted to bring y'all guys on here. One, y'all are really popular right now. The Hunting Public is. I love y'all's stuff. Everyone seems to be loving y'all's stuff. I want to ask, so at this point in the season, and not in the season, obviously season's not open yet, it's February, but, what do y'all, or do y'all have, a tentative schedule yet? Y'all have, all right, we're going to go here, or how do y'all go about putting that together?
Well, we're trying to make a tentative schedule.
Tentative is a good word for it.
Tentative.
From year to year, it's going to be roughly the same south to north.
Right.
Just trying to hit those early seasons. But, of course, this year some of the season dates are changing.
Yeah.
Alabama's coming in a week later.
Yeah.
There's going to be people just packed into Mississippi on the weekend of the 14th.
That's what we were talking about because, I grew up hunting public land down there. Jordan did. I've got several friends that do. We're like, man, what is public land going to be like on the opening morning?
It's going to be a zoo that first weekend.
Because you already get that big influx from Arkansas, but now Alabama's not going to be open, so they're going to be like, oh, Mississippi, party, So,
yeah.
But what do you do?
By that, I'm assuming that the hunting will be good that first week once you get into the actual weekdays. But that first weekend,
it's going to be
like
a zoo.
Yeah. I was talking to Josh Thrash earlier today, and he said that we
don't talk about him on this podcast.
He said that he thinks that it's going to be a little bit of an early spring.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't know if you guys have seen the same thing with all the moisture and maybe the weather's been kind of warm.
The show will open in 1 minute.
1 minute the show's opening.
1 minute the show will be open.
And they'll probably let us know in 30 seconds that it's in 30 more seconds.
The show is now open.
Yeah, they're gonna let us know.
But
I don't know. I mean, Thrash seems to think it's going to be the spring is going to come a little early, and that as long as the weather doesn't turn off super cold, that birds could be cranking pretty good.
I personally would not hate that, because here what happens with us every year, like with our schedule, and especially this year, like we'll hit Florida early because we can't, we'll be at Florida like March 6th, and then we'll be back for opening day of our season, and we usually get like the most chunk of time we have to hunt at home is early.
Yep.
As soon as April hits, we're gone.
Right.
So if it was ripping early, I would not be upset at all, because like last year it was not so much on the early side of things. I got lucky and killed one like on the 5th day of the season, but I just got lucky is all that was to it.
What's Mississippi back limit on turkeys?
3.
3? Okay.
I personally wish it wasn't, because
Show's open.
Show's open now.
Show is open.
The show is now officially open.
Yeehaw.
The show is open now. Yeehaw.
But yeah, man, we always start down south when the season's open, and we're usually in Mississippi or Alabama, and we might try to go to North Florida this year when that opens on the 21st.
Yeah.
I'm not real sure yet. We're still kicking around ideas. The thing I do know is that we're going to be Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, North Florida for like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
And we're just going to be bouncing between those 4 states until, early April.
Yeah. Y'all's crew, are y'all going to like hunt one big group, or is like someone going to be y'all going to be separated between all those states you just listed off?
Probably separate.
Going every which way.
Probably send like 3 or 4 people to one area and then 2 or 3 people to another area. That way we're creating content in 2 different places.
Yeah.
Gives us better odds of killing a turkey on video too.
I understand, man. I understand. So how do y'all go about, because like your format, like I said, obviously it's working. Y'all are doing really well. Like, when do y'all decide, like, hey, we have enough content to put an episode out? Like, do y'all have a certain mark that you hit, or is it just y'all just kind of have to feel it,
Yeah, I mean, if it's a really, really slow day where there's really no turkey hunting action, nothing really good to learn, then we may skip over that day or blend it in with another day. But, I mean, ideally, we're trying to do it day by day, especially when we're starting out early.
Right.
People are, in Alabama last year, I think we probably had 5 or 6 videos from there, getting there, kind of the scouting, really laying out the whole process. I mean, thinking back to 2018 when we went to Alabama, I think we hunted 7 days before we killed a bird, before we saw a bird.
That sounds about right.
Before we saw a bird. And those still got good viewership because people can relate to the struggles of hunting public land early season in Alabama.
Oh, yeah,
so,
100%.
And we got enough guys around, we got enough personalities, there's always something interesting going on. So we can try to make some kind of episode.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that is really like a beauty about what y'all do in y'all's formats, because like we can't, like, so when Primos, when we do a TV show, we really don't have the opportunity to do all that, to go in detail with as much of the story,
right?
Whereas like with what you guys do, you can show, hey, we went for 5 days, 7 days, and we didn't see a turkey. And I personally think people want to see that. You can't just show that, make it look like you go and you kill a turkey every time you step into the woods, because that's just not reality,
right?
Especially on public land in Alabama,
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. That those are the hunts that seem to do the best for us, are the ones where we go in and we hunt for a week and grind it out day by day and eventually scratch a bird out, or a deer at the end of the hunt or whatever it is, because people can relate to that struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's dealing with that. And to be honest, those short hunts, we usually try to keep them around 7 days max. Occasionally we'll go over that, but that's usually what people have.
Yeah.
They may have a week, just vacation to take a trip with their family and their friends or whatever, out of state or maybe in state.
Yeah.
And that's the amount of time that they have. So if anything we can help teach them in that period is good.
Yeah. I still think one of the most creative things I saw in one of your videos one time is you were showing you made a scratch line in the road.
Yeah.
So you could tell if someone drove over it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's pretty slick right there. Because that's like the first thing you pull up when you get to one of your spots. You're like, I wonder if anyone else has been here.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you make that up yourself? Or did you get it from somebody?
I don't think I got that one from somebody. I get most everything else from somebody.
But
I just thought, like, well, down there, a lot of those roads are real sandy.
Yeah.
Down south.
Yeah.
So when somebody drives over them, they leave an imprint, and it's just a dead-end road that accesses this piece of public land.
Yeah.
So driving out of that road, I just thought, well, man, I'm going to draw a scratch in that road so that I can come back every day and check and see if there's tire tracks in that scratch.
Yeah.
And went back there the next day, and there was 2 fresh sets of tire tracks going down that road. So I was like, nope, I'm not going to drive the other 6 miles down the end of this dead-end road because there's somebody already down there.
Yeah. See, I remember when I saw it, I was like, man, if I'd have known that when I was in college, I could have saved a lot of time on the refuge I hunted close to the school.
Yeah.
Because there's several times I drive all the way down there, there'd be 2 trucks parked. Time to turn around and go somewhere else.
With big pieces of public land, that's what we focus on, and more than anything is efficiency. It's just like trying to scout as much ground as fast as possible, whether that's from the truck or by boots on the ground or whatever. And when you know how it is in a lot of those public areas, you may pull into a road that goes for like 15 miles into the center of the public right there.
Yeah.
And if you can just pull in there and know if there's a bunch of people driving up and down that road immediately, then you can write that off and move.
Yeah, let's go somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of spending a bunch of time in an area where there's already a bunch of people.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So,
do you ever – so I've got to ask this question, especially with both of y'all sitting here. So, like, the thing that you hear all the time from Turkey, not just Mississippi, but all over the Southeast, everyone says the turkeys are down here in the Southeast are just way more difficult.
everybody says it.
So
They say that up in Missouri where I'm from. They're like, you come up here to Missouri, man, these are the hardest turkeys you ever see.
yeah.
You hear that from guys in Pennsylvania. You hear it about deer.
Yeah.
The Michigan folks are like, man, you all got to come up here and deer hunt because these are the hardest deer
These are the most
that
hard-hitted,
ever be, that God has ever made. And there's some truth to that in some areas, I would say, but for the most part, man, it's just hunting.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, there's some areas with more pressure than others, but when it comes down to is you're learning new country and you're trying to understand how the animals use the habitat in that particular area and then how to avoid people so that you can kill one of them. And it really is like, I mean, it sounds real basic to say that, but that's the way we look at it everywhere we go to a new area.
I will say, and I haven't hunted there, but you guys have hunted Arkansas a couple of times, and that seems very difficult.
That's the toughest area I've hunted turkeys.
Arkansas?
Yep.
Arkansas public land, yeah.
I think it's more just because of the bird numbers down there right now.
Yeah.
Like the habitat and the terrain that they're in is beautiful, and you can kill them down there when they're there.
Right.
And there's a lot of hunters, but everywhere where you have public land and high populations, I mean, you're going to have a lot of hunters.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And there's lots of places like that. But in Arkansas, where I've hunted now a couple years, the populations are just way down.
Yeah.
So
well, and I mean, think is just as basic as you can make that thought. But if there's not that many turkeys, they're going to be a little bit more difficult to kill.
You're hunting public land. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of people and not a lot of birds. When you find one, everybody else probably knows about it.
Yeah.
But it's just, I was talking to Dave Owens about this, because he kind of feels the same way, traveling and hunting all over the place.
As far as like difficulty goes,
yeah. Arkansas could be the toughest state that we've hunted, but man, if you pull into a new spot and a bird is in there, there's just one bird in there hammering, you can walk right in there and kill that thing just like you can anywhere else. It still is a turkey at the end of the day.
You had heard, like I'd heard, before, because I didn't really start traveling much turkey hunting until I got till Primos came, and I'd heard the same thing, I'd heard, some people say, oh, Merriams are easy. You hear that sometimes.
Yep.
I've seen Merriams that are crafty as any turkey I've ever hunted in Mississippi, and I've seen turkeys in Mississippi run in, not often, but I've seen a 2-year-old in Mississippi run in like he's suicidal. It's just so I agree with more along the lines of what you're saying. I mean, turkey's going to be a turkey.
Oh, man, I've hunted Merriams when the weather got real bad out there. And they just flocked up like the devil, and it was just really, really difficult. Like the wind and everything, you couldn't hear them. They weren't talking. I mean,
we were hunting in Colorado, and we found this turkey. We were in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, some of the same places that we elk hunt. And I'm talking like mountains. We were 10,400 some feet elevation.
Yeah.
One turkey, we could not kill him. We started calling him Wilbur because he gobbled at random times. He did what he wanted to, and he wouldn't listen to anybody. He's still, unless he died of old age or a cougar got him, he's still alive. We could not kill him.
Yeah.
We found another turkey after like 3 days of chasing him. We were like, the heck with Wilbur. We'll go find another one. We found another one and managed to kill him. But
legendary mountain gobbler.
That was as crafty as any turkey we've ever fooled. And it wasn't just me. Wilbur tried to kill him. Troy tried to kill him. Couldn't nobody get him to act right. He was crazy. He was nuts.
Yep.
Couldn't make any sense of it.
That's right, man. Turkeys will be turkeys regardless of where you hunt them at.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what's fun about it, though. You find those
for sure.
turkeys or deer that are just almost impossible to kill, and sometimes you get whooped, and that's the end of the story. That's what's fun about it.
Well,
learn a lot.
We were talking about that. I was talking. I was riding up here yesterday with Garrett, one of our product guys, and Garrett's originally from upstate New York, and he started. Now he's turkey hunting, and he's started to try to tackle some public land turkey hunting in Mississippi. And if you've never hunted on public land before, and if you've never turkey hunted before, you're going to find a little bit of difficulty just trying to put the pieces together. And he was talking about how he's having some issues and he got close but couldn't. And I was like, dude, I'm telling you, when you finally kill one, and you will, it'll be the most gratifying thing. Like it'll be worth it. All that time you put in will be absolutely worth it.
Yep.
Because it's rewarding, especially when you have to work for it like that.
Yeah, it is, man. I mean, we killed. The first year we hunted public land Mississippi opening week, we hunted 7 days, and I just had a 7-day license.
Yeah.
And I didn't kill a bird. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the 7 days, Zach, who was with us and filming, I was like, man, you get a license now, and I'll film you.
Mm-hmm.
So he bought one, and we killed one the first day that he had his license, so the 8th day that we were there.
Worked out well for him.
Yeah, worked out real well. But, I mean, it took us that long, a week, and we finally killed a little bitty 15, 16-pound 2-year-old bird right as he was coming to roost in the evening.
Yeah, I remember watching that hunt.
And it was like, man, you'd have thought that we just won the Super Bowl. I mean, it was just unbelievable how much we celebrated that hunt. Yeah. Because we worked so hard.
I know. Yeah.
To that point.
I think it was that same season actually. Me and Jordan, mostly me and Jordan together, we try to go hunt around there, the same piece of public that you were hunting on, and we don't get a chance to hunt it that much because we got so much going on with Primos or whatever, and we tried out there, just couldn't make it work, and we finally get on this one turkey. We got on him like right at fly down. And then I shot him like at 1:30 something in the afternoon. Stayed on him the whole day. Mm-hmm. And the same kind of thing. Like when the turkey flopped, I think I just laid on the ground. Was just like, just got him. It's just a.
It's crazy though, man. That feeling when you get on them like that, and it seems to happen real frequently in early season because they're just super tough. Then with all the hens, you just have to be so patient and stick with them. But, man, your mind is just so absorbed with hunting those birds, just nonstop. It's freeing. I like it a lot because you can just focus on that one thing, and get your mind off everything else that's going on in the world. And it's awesome. Yeah, even if you don't end up getting them,
that's fine. Even if you don't end up getting them, I need everything.
Most of the time, you don't.
Yeah, win some, lose most.
Yep, especially with deer. Good grief.
I don't want to talk about deer, not after last season.
The Primos Custom Meal Shop, the most exciting thing we have going on at Primos.com right now. Especially since it's turkey season, you owe it to yourself to go check out some of the custom box calls that we have. This is where you can go in and design a box call to your exact specifications. Everything from the wood to the graphics on the call to the script that's written on the call. You can have your name, your initials, a Bible verse, whatever you want. It's a custom meal shop. You have to go check it out. And also with it being turkey season, we have some new stuff coming out that you're really going to like. So keep your eyes on the Primos Custom Meal Shop, only at Primos.com.
I want to ask y'all this because this is something that we get asked all the time, and seeing as y'all hunt public ground as much as you do. So someone will send in an inbox question, whatever. They're like, hey, I'm planning a trip to wherever, some state, and I've got this, I'm going to try to hunt here. What should I, literally, what should I do? What should I look for? So if you're going to a piece of public ground that you've never been to before, how are y'all going to tackle, this is how we're going to try to find turkeys or put ourselves in a position to be close to turkeys?
Well, I mean, starting broad, you can contact a local biologist, at least give you an idea of what areas are holding birds. I mean, obviously they're not going to give you the X on the map.
Right,
you can start with some basic broad information that help you kind of narrow down your search.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understanding local conditions as well. Maybe there was flooding that has changed, the way that properties are going to hunt.
Yeah, and looking online at forums and whatnot, you can pick up little tidbits. You never really get the whole thing.
No.
You never get all the information in one place. It doesn't seem like in most cases. But you just dig, and eventually, like Greg said, you talk to a biologist, and then you look into more information about the area. You read up on the area's rules and regulations and stuff. And eventually you start to figure it all out to at least how it works on the surface. And then you can start looking at maps and trying to find areas where there's turkeys. And the thing with turkeys that makes it a little bit more different than deer is deer are more adaptable than turkeys.
Yeah.
So turkeys, they got to have certain things in order to live in a particular spot. And sometimes those things are right next to the road and right next to the parking lot. And sometimes they're like 6 miles in there. But the point is, I think a lot of people get out of the truck and they take off walking, just thinking like the further I get back in there, the more likely it's going to be that I'm going to find turkeys. And if the habitat isn't way back in there, then the turkeys aren't going to be there.
Right.
Because they got to have water. They got to have like openings, whether it's fields or, short grass brush, something like that.
Something, yeah.
And then they have to have mature timber somewhere close by. And they've got to have it all in one pretty confined area, and if that's the biggest thing when you get on these big monotonous national forests or big blocks of woods or whatever, you get way the heck back in there, man. And if they don't have all those habitat features, there's not going to be many birds in that area, even if there's no people in there.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because you hear that all the time. Like and I get the mindset. Like if I get away from everybody else, then I'll find turkeys back there because they're not getting messed with. Which they're not going to be there if there's not what they need back there. And I've known folks to walk by turkeys that are right across the road because they think they got to be way, way, way back.
Yep.
It's almost comical.
That's what we're looking for on a map, though, before we go is just habitat diversity, especially water.
Yeah.
Because water, I mean, it's not always the limiting factor on an area, but often it is.
Often it is, yeah.
You may take a 15,000-acre chunk and separate it out into 4 or 5 creek drainages that run through there. And along all those creek drainages, especially where you've got some mature timber that butts up to some open country or fields or whatever, you're
going to find turkeys.
You're going to find turkeys in there. But maybe not out in the middle of a massive open woods.
Yeah.
Where there's no water or no openings. I'm not saying they won't be there. They still will in some cases, but that's what we're looking at before we go to an area. Is that habitat diversity.
And that's what I was wanting to get at because I know some folks that they'll look at like a aerial photograph of some kind of piece of public ground and they're like, well, there's got to be turkeys in that big thing somewhere, and they just don't really know where to start specifically. They're just kind of just shooting in the dark and go, well, then maybe that looks good. And one thing I always try to tell people too is if you can, don't give yourself just one option.
Oh, no.
Because I've done that before where I pull up to a spot that I've looked at on an aerial and it doesn't really look like I thought it was. And I'm like, and if you own it, and I'm like, well, crap, got to try somewhere else. And so I'm like, get a couple different spots, that you can run to and look at and check out. Don't just get one.
Exactly.
Especially in real hard areas where you got lower populations and more hunters.
Yeah.
We may hit half a dozen spots before we find a turkey.
Yeah.
And it may take us days in order to do that, and lots of hours listening to hear one or walking trying to find sign or whatever. But we're always mapping that out ahead of time too. When we go into an area, it's like we'll pick out a handful of different options, and then when we get there, half of them might be good options and half of them might just be written off immediately because of factors that are outside of your control or that you didn't know. I mean, maybe you thought you were going to walk or drive this long 4-mile road through the middle of this piece, and you got there and there's a gate over it.
Yeah.
And it says no access allowed or no hunting, or sometimes you run into stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you just have to adapt and change. But a lot of turkeys that we kill on public, we just cruising down the road and stop, and we'll try to listen in the morning first thing when the birds are up on the limb. You can hear them further away at that point.
Right.
If it's calm, their gobble carries further, and they're more talkative. So I'd rather hit like 5 or 6 spots in that first 30 minutes than I would just one. Mm-hmm. And then, even if you hear a bird, because that's what a lot of folks will do, is they'll hear a turkey gobble and then they'll just go. Yeah. They'll just grab their stuff and they'll go.
I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty bad about doing that.
If I'm in right. Oh, dude, I've done it so many times.
I get excited. He's in there. Let's go.
This is easier said than done, folks. Way easier said than done. But if I'm getting into an area and we're going to be there for 4 or 5 days, it's very hard to do. But if you can spend that first morning just going A to B to C to D and on down the line, and then pinning birds, like marking them on Onyx or whatever.
Yeah.
And I know by the time you're done going all of those, the birds are going to be flown down, and they're probably not going to be talking much, but they're henned up anyway. Yeah. For the most part, they're going to do that regardless.
Yeah.
But then you have all this inventory of turkeys to deal with for the next week. So if variable conditions come up where it gets windy or the weather gets bad and the birds aren't talking, you still got options. It's like, okay, well, I know there's turkeys here because I heard them. I know there's turkeys here because I heard them.
Yeah.
And then you can just start going in there and systematically picking them apart.
That's interesting. I've never, because I honestly, I've never thought to do that. Like, if I hear a turkey, I'm probably going after him.
Yeah. A friend of mine from Arkansas named Paul Owens, who me and Zach Kurzieski met while we were hunting in Tennessee on public land one time. He was just sleeping in his camper.
Sounds like a good guy.
Run into him on public land, and we got to talking to him, and it was like, holy cow. After talking to him for about an hour, we realized this guy's killed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of birds on public land just all over the place. Like, then he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And that was one thing, like, we would just be beating ourselves to death all day, walking, and he would always be back in camp asleep at 11 o'clock, whether he had a turkey or not. And we'd be like, man, what are you doing? He said, and he would always just say, you got to be patient. He said, I get up in the morning and I go mark the birds. I listen to them. If I can't get on them, I come back and rest, and then I go back after them later in the afternoon. And that sucker killed all his turkeys in Tennessee on public land in 1 week.
Holy smokes.
All 4 of them.
Yeah, okay, he knows what he's doing.
And he'd never been on that area before.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, he knew what he was doing.
One thing that I've learned, and that I had no idea you were going to have that tip, but it has, because, like, talking to y'all, and then me and Jordan got to hunt with Dave last year, Dave Owens. Like, all these, and every other guy, Josh Thrash, all the guys I know that consistently kill birds on public land, like, just one huge factor that they have in their arsenal is they focus on efficiency. And so, and that, like I said, I've never thought about that before, but as hard as that would be to do, it makes all the sense in the world. Like, you miss maybe a morning or two of going after a turkey, but you find 5 turkeys.
Especially in a state where you can hunt all day.
Right.
Especially in a state where you can hunt all day.
Yeah.
That is super important, because I mean, half of them we kill are in the middle of the day or in the afternoon. You know how that is.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how many of those questions we get or we talk to. I got on a turkey, but I'm like, well, what did you do? It's like, well, he stopped gobbling about 8:30, 9 o'clock, so we left. Like, well, you're missing out on some opportunity there.
Yeah. I tell people that all the time, too. That if you're just hunting weekends, or if you're trying to, maybe you got to work at 8 and you don't have time to go hunting in the morning, I bet you have time to go listen.
Yeah.
And if you go out there and listen and mark turkeys, then maybe you get out, maybe you're a school teacher and you get off work at 3:30, 4 in the afternoon, and you got a couple hours to hunt before, it closes. Well, if you marked a turkey that morning on your way to work, you can slide right in there in that afternoon or that evening and possibly kill him in the same area.
Yeah.
As long as you're patient and you just, they may not be talking much, but if you're in there when he loses those hens and goes to gobbling, nobody else was in the woods at that time for the most part.
Yeah.
And you got him all to yourself, and that's when he lets his guard down and he comes right into the gun.
The first turkey I ever killed on the public land near where I went to college at, I taught, Keith Polk.
Oh, yeah.
I told him what I was doing and the struggles I was facing. He said, you hunting at the wrong hours. Like, what are you talking about? He said, you hunting when everybody else is hunting. He said, get on those turkeys when nobody else is. I said,
Yep.
huh, okay, I'll try this. Like, I want probably the third time I went in there, dead turkey. And I was like, huh, that worked. You know, and it had kind of not purposely done, but I'd been in there enough mornings that I'd heard a bunch of turkeys, so I kind of knew where they were at. I wasn't trying to do the method, but it kind of worked out that way. And when I was in those woods, I didn't drive by or park, see anybody else. I was the only soul out there.
Yep.
Gobbling turkey, come in to 20 yards. Boom. Like, well, I'll be dang. Look at that.
That's right. Doing stuff that other people aren't doing. Granted, there's a lot of tactics out there that work well for everybody, so it kind of just depends on the situation. But often, you know, you'll run into a bird. Maybe you pull into a parking lot and there's a turkey just blowing up 200 yards in a parking lot. And you see tire tracks everywhere. Well, that bird has been hunted. A lot, probably. Like, he's been hunted a lot. He's probably got a screw loose. Yep. Like, he may be one of those types that's going to sit on the limb. And not to say that you couldn't just plop down and call him right to you, because you could. I mean, they're turkeys. They got little bitty brains, and sometimes that'll happen. But if we're going to go after one at first light in that situation, we're more apt to circling all the way around him to get him as he's headed away from that pressure. To not go at him the way every other Many
guy
times
is going at him.
a guy is going, or a hunter of any kind is coming from that parking lot and going straight at that bird calling, and that turkey's hammering at him. But while he's keeping him gobbling, we're moving around the backside and then setting up quietly. And about the time he pitches down and goes quiet, we start some soft calling, and then boom, he gobbles and he's headed our way. You know. It's just being in the right spot has a lot to do with it, and that pressure can almost help you in situations like that.
I would say, and that probably would, and y'all would agree with this, I'm sure. What helps a lot of y'all too is y'all just, at this point, y'all just done it so many times. You just kind of have a better grasp of what that turkey's going to do.
Get yourself in enough situations and different scenarios, you're going to learn how to deal with birds like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of learning.
That's what I tell people. I said, look, you can watch many YouTube videos as you want. Watch them. They're helpful. I can answer as many questions as I can try to answer, but nothing's going to replace you going out in the woods and just doing it.
Nope.
Failing.
I failed a lot more than I succeeded.
You learn more on the failures than you do on the successful hunts even.
Oh, yeah. Especially when you get, like, whooped really bad and you have a turkey tie you in a knot and come in behind you and you don't get to shoot him and you did something wrong.
I am not letting that happen again.
Or your setup's just bad wrong. The turkey comes in and you can't get a shot. You know, I've done that more times than I could count. Lost sleep over it. Times than I could count.
That's right.
Well, crap, man. I've kept y'all for 30-something minutes already. Y'all got to get to y'all's booth. I got to get to my booth. One thing, I'm sure probably most of the people that listen to this podcast know who you are already, but just for good measure, just tell kind of where we can find y'all at on YouTube and social and all that.
Yeah, the Hunting Public on YouTube, that's where our content primarily goes. That's our bread and butter. Putting out videos, 3 to 4 videos per week throughout the entire season. Turkey season, of course, deer season are our main focus, but we're doing stuff in the off season, and so then
we also have videos on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
And we, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok.
Y'all always dabbling in TikTok.
Y'all have a TikTok?
We got a TikTok, man. I don't even know. I looked at it for about 15 minutes the other day, and I think I killed more brain cells doing that than I did all of college. But
dude, I don't even have a TikTok. I don't know. It's a new wave, though, I guess.
It is. It was kind of interesting after a while.
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah.
I've burned enough of my time up on Instagram and other stuff. I'm like, I don't even know if I want to dive into another one.
How many different types of social media can you consume in one day?
Yeah.
Too many. So do y'all know when the Turkey Tour 2020 will officially kick off?
About March 14th.
March 14th.
So
y'all going to be in Mississippi.
We're going to be in Mississippi. Yep.
Cool.
And I'm sure it'll be rough, but it'll be a lot of fun.
It's part of it.
Yep.
It's part of it. Well, guys, I can't thank you enough. I can't thank y'all for being here today. I can't thank y'all for putting up with me in 2012.
Good times, brother.
Yeah, man.
It was good times.
I remember you coming up in that little S10 at the time, wasn't it? Coming all the way up from Mississippi and getting up there to southern Iowa with us.
My S10
I think you were
trailer.
20.
I was.
Yep.
20 on the nose.
I remember it well.
Brought a little culture into the office.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. Us Midwestern boys that They hadn't seen it.
The first gas station that I stopped at before I got to your house that night, I went in there and to get some gas, and I said, I bought something with store clerk. She said, "You're not from here." No, ma'am.
No.
I am not. I'm far from home.
I should say, before we wrap this up, I should tell people this, because this is an attaboy pat on the back for you. You didn't have a lick of experience with filming, doing nothing before we picked you to be an intern up there. But you had some determination, man, because you called me like 3 or 4 times in just a couple weeks. And you're like, because I talked to you, I interviewed you at first for the internship, and we had hundreds of applicants,
Yeah.
And lots of applicants with more experience. But you kept calling me, and you're like, "Hey, man," and you were just super nice, and I could tell that you really loved hunting and that you had a passion for it. And I just kept telling the other guys in the office, I'm like, "Man, we got to pick these interns." And I'm telling you, this Lake Pickle boy, he's from down south, and he will not leave me alone. Like, he wants this thing so bad. So that's just, side note. If you're trying to, get a job, or you're trying to get into this industry somehow, don't give up.
Everybody's path is different. You don't have to go to media school.
No, you don't.
I tell people, y'all still have the internship program,
Yeah,
right?
we do.
Because I get asked on my Instagram, and we did a whole podcast about it. Because we get so many questions on our. I'm sure y'all do too. And I tell people, I'm like, look, I'm not telling you it's a guarantee that you'd get it, but the internship program opened. I would not be working at Primos right now if it weren't for that.
Oh, we wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't own this business without it.
If it weren't for y'all two guys teaching me how to run camera and edit some stuff, there's no way I wouldn't have had a shot.
Yeah.
Nope. So that's what did it for me.
And we're happy for you and proud of you.
I'm proud. Shoot, I'm proud of y'all. You know how many times you've seen the Hunt in Public? I know those guys. They taught me stuff. Yeah.
Oh, man, I love it.
Yeah, fun times. But anyhow, guys, I appreciate it. I really do. Guys, check out the Hunt in Public if you haven't already. Lots of exciting stuff. Always good stuff from them. That's all we have for today. Thank you for listening to the Speak the Language podcast.